Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Carol, Elizabeth, and I, along with our Rotary Board of Directors, would like to welcome educators, Rotarians, and honored guests here in person and online across the state to our annual Georgia Laws of Life Teacher and Rotarian Workshop. We all relish these moments, especially these days, of gathering and inspiration, and we hope today's program will truly inspire you all. There we are. Investment guru and philanthropist Sir John Templeton pioneered the Laws of Life essay contest in his hometown of Winchester, Tennessee, back in 1987. Templeton believed that there are a set of rules, ideals, and principles which he called the laws of life. News of the contest began to spread, and in 2008, a group of Rotarians, including Susan Mason and George Stewart and Ed Outlaw, formed the Georgia Rotary District's Character Education Program to encourage student writers across the state. According to Education Week, current English language arts standards place more emphasis on argumentative writing or explanatory writing. But a Laws of Life essay is more than a standard personal narrative. This prompt guides students to realize their own life lessons and also lets them share them with others. You could describe it as an explanatory piece of writing told from a personal perspective. At Georgia Laws of Life, we feel it's essential to provide students this opportunity for self-reflection, to help them work through the challenges and realize positive, timeless character values and developing a love of the written word. To begin, our first essay is from Amelia Taylor, last year's 21-22 school winner from Forsyth Central High School. Amelia is a senior at Forsyth Central. She's involved in multiple clubs, and she plays soccer on her high school team as well as a club team. After graduation, she hopes to attend Emory University with a major in nursing. Additionally, English has always been one of her passions in school, and she is grateful for this contest as an amazing outlet for her writing. Amelia is here today with her mother and father. Let's welcome Amelia.
Hi, my name is Amelia Taylor. Like Ms. Hatton said, I'm a senior at Forsyth Central. I would just like to thank everybody for allowing me to have this opportunity. As she said, like I mentioned in my bio, writing has always been a passion of mine. And this contest has just allowed me to kind of self-reflect on something, on a very important event in my life that at the time I wasn't sure was going to bring a lot of, closure. So this is my Law of Life essay. It's about my late grandmother, and it is called Visiting Hours. Time. The best healer, yet a relentless thief. My closest ally, yet my worst enemy. Time taught me a valuable lesson when my grandmother passed, one of which I may never understand the underlying reason, but one I can hope to soon gain closure from. Time occupied a room in my mind, his constant ticking ringing in my ear as a reminder that he was precious, that his resource which fueled my relationship with her would soon be gone. It was just a lot sooner than I thought. My grandma's personality never failed to make a lasting impression on anyone. She was one of those rare humans that you would always remember from just a single encounter. She wore her heart on her sleeve and donated a piece of it to every person she met. She didn't want anyone to worry about her, which Time was aware of, so he knew he could snatch her kindness away from me without me realizing until it was too late. Around the spring of 2019, Time unleashed an eager cancer, a relentless beast. Cancer abruptly stormed into the windows of her soul, mercilessly draining the life from them. My grandma fought this battle silently, distracting herself from the significance of her reality by pouring her energy into other people and neglecting her worsening health. Her body continued to dilapidate, becoming rapidly frail and polluted with the irreversible destruction of the disease. Time felt that he had offered her enough of his luxury when I sat in the hospital at her bedside, awake for every hour of the fever-dream night as her soul left. But I pleaded and begged for him to give her just one more minute. One more minute for me to hold her almost lifeless hand one last time, to hug her frail body one last time, gaze into her lethargic eyes one last time. I just wanted to be in her humble presence one last time. Only then did I pray that heaven had visiting hours. He did not concede. Time robbed me of the warmth of my grandma's hugs, the aroma of her homemade cookies, the laughter from her soft smile. She was gone. He taunted me in my ear, "You took me for granted." I denied it at first, but I knew he was right, which made the pain derived from guilt that much more antagonizing. Every second that ticked by in my ear after her passing reminded me of the seconds I selfishly spent not being there for her. For the longest time preceding, I was warped with anger and resentment, desperate to find someone or something to blame for her unfair death. However, the alleviation of that pain was sparked by a sign I witnessed as I was walking along my grandma's favorite beach after her funeral. A young woman walking in front of us, with the same chestnut hair my grandma once possessed, had a tattoo displayed on her left shoulder blade. The art was intricate yet minimalistic, reading, "Through every dark night, there is a brighter day." It was as if time had scheduled me visiting hours with my grandma at that moment without me even knowing. A personification of her in the flesh, giving me a sign that my grief from her absence would harness strength I never knew I had. Though once the darkest point of my life, this loss blossomed the gratitude I have for the days that are now brighter. I grew to understand that time had not punished me, but instead rewarded me with an understood purpose of finding joy in every moment. I now love my friends and family even more fiercely, and I have evolved into an epicenter of sympathy and strength, a source of healing and kindness. Even so, my heart will never cease to long for the comfort of her love. There will always be something missing, but as I continue to appreciate every day, with the evolution of my strengthening heart, hopefully that void will gradually fill to become whole again. Only time will tell. Thank you.
So much of these last 2+ years have revolved around loss for students, for teachers, for all of us. The Laws of Life essay can certainly be a gain, even a gift, for students and teachers. Students have the chance to ponder and realize that they've gained wisdom from their various life lessons, even at their tender age. Teachers gain valuable insight into who their students are and where they've come from. Our next essay is from Praydun Pulipaka, the 21-22 ninth grade winner from Forsyth Central High School. As a 10th grader, Praydun participates in a range of activities, from science-related clubs to marketing competitions. Outside of school, he enjoys swimming and playing tennis. He is here today with his mother and father. Let's welcome Praydun.
So when I first heard about the Laws of Life competition, I thought it was incredible, and I started to read some of the essays from past winners, and I found that I actually really learned a lot from the experiences of others. So I wanted to set out and write my own essay that would hopefully impact other students in positive ways should they read it. So I set out with writing, and for the longest time I couldn't come up with anything. My mind was completely drawing a blank. So I just let my mind stick to the paper, and I finally came to one sentence. It is important to understand the pain of others. During the COVID-19 pandemic, my mother got blood cancer, leukemia, and throughout the pandemic, it was really hard for me to communicate with her and express to her how much I loved her, and this is the story of how I finally learned how to help her. My mother has always been an enormous part of my life. Throughout my life, she has always encouraged me and been by my side. She has always had a positive outlook on life and is an ardent optimist, always trying to see the best in every situation. And my mother never changed her mentality, not even when she got cancer. At first, it was hard for me to accept that my mother was going through all of this, her being the person who had raised me and made me the person I am today. Of course, this was selfish of me, considering the fact that it was my mother who was undergoing all of the pain and suffering, while I was just a bystander. But being a bystander made everything so much worse for me. My family could not visit my mother during her treatment because of the COVID-19 pandemic's strict lockdown rules. All we were able to do was offer words of encouragement through video calls and text messages. This was the hardest part for me, knowing that I could not help my mother when she needed it the most, especially because she had always helped me through tough times. During the first few months of her treatment, I was in a daze. I did not even want to speak with my mother because all I felt when I saw her was shame. Shame from not being able to do for her what she had done for me my entire life. This was admittedly foolish of me, as I only damaged the relationship I had with my mother. In fact, I did not realize my wrongdoing until around 4 months into my mother's treatment when I saw her cry for the very first time. It was a shock to me because I had always seen my mother as a very strong person, and while seeing her cry didn't make her seem any less strong to me, it engendered thoughts in me which I had not previously had. I had spent all this time trying to cope with the pain that my mother's sickness had caused me, but I had never stopped to think about how my mother must be feeling. So I did what I should have done a long time ago. I talked to her. We talked for hours on end as she told me every detail about how difficult and strenuous her treatment had been. And in doing so, I accomplished what I had beat myself up for not being able to do before, helping my mother. By understanding my mother's pain, I could relate to her on a deeper level and actually help her through her troubles. My mother's resilience throughout her treatment brought me hope and joy for her future. But ultimately, what stayed with me after the experience was having the ability to help my mother by understanding her pain. Today, this is a law I live by, and I always try to understand others' difficulties so that I can help them in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Praydun. It is important to understand the pain of others. We're so glad that your mother is here to celebrate your beautiful essay with us today. Our next speaker is Antonia Parisi, who is a teacher at Forsyth Central High School. She is currently entering her 20th year in education. Not only is she a teacher, administrator, and passionate lover of literature and art, she is a mother of 2 beautiful children and a wife to a wonderful husband. Antonia, predictably, enjoys reading and writing, but also traveling. She believes that everyone should follow the Henry David Thoreau advice. I'm not very good at forwarding the slides. She believes we should listen to Henry David Thoreau when he wrote, "Live deep and suck out all of the marrow of life." Welcome, Antonia.
Good afternoon. Today my objective is to wax on why the Laws of Life essay contest is so important to classrooms and how it has impacted both me and my students. But allow me to provide some context. Let us go back to a high school classroom sometime in the late 90s. To sociology, to the scene where I am scribbling and the teacher lecturing and my foot bobbing. In the second row, third seat, there is another girl. Same sort of I love alternative rock look that I typically wore, but her hair is short and black. Her diminutive stature, porcelain skin, and dark eyes contribute to this sense that she does not belong, that she dropped in from some other planet populated by fairies like her. Her voice is soft. It's senior year, and although we have known each other since we were freshmen, we've never really hung out outside of school. She is pretty, popular, sweet, and we talk in between classes. In a few days, she won't show. In a few days, I will think that she has forgotten to meet me for breakfast. In a few days, our principal will slowly announce over the loudspeaker that she has died. And then we will learn that she took her own life. and then we will learn that her sadness was real. I attended private school, so that afternoon we all went to the school's chapel to pray and cry. I remember our English teacher sitting in a pew, rocking slightly, tears dripping off the edge of his nose. The cold November sun filtered orange through the stained glass. He repeated the same question like some mantra, "Why didn't she tell me?" Maybe she had. Maybe when she confessed that she never slept at night anymore, when she hinted at difficulties within her family, when she cut off all of her beautiful dark hair, she was trying. In college, I studied English literature and then became an English teacher because, like most English majors, I loved the language, the art, and wanted to impart that passion onto others, specifically teens, a group whom I found to be simultaneously wonderful and terrifying. When I was asked on an interview why teaching, I gave the pat response regarding my adoration for authors such as Milton, Fitzgerald, Neruda. It worked. I was hired. My career began in private school, a setting to which I was accustomed. When I asked students to keep reflection journals, I was scolded. You are inviting them to say things that you may not want to hear. Avoid the problem and give them grammar, give them reading questions, but for heaven's sake, don't ask them about their feelings. We are not counselors. No, as English teachers, we are not trained counselors. But through our examination of the human condition, we demonstrate an empathetic consideration for people's individual situations and thus are more approachable to students who feel alone, who feel that no one will understand. I would not stop assigning journals. In my 5th teaching year, I transitioned from private to public school, and I found the change jarring. In Literature's Exploration, Louise Rosenblatt observes, a vivid response to a work will have its roots in the capacities and experiences already present in the personality and mind of the reader. But what if their experiences are dark and violent? Consequently, my attitude changed from warm to detached. I was intimidated by my new environment, by the overt complexity of these students. I now realized that I was afraid of their stories, afraid of how much they really needed me, of how consuming it all was. Ultimately, I returned to what was true, what was real, a teaching philosophy founded in love, because love is an act of courage, not of fear. Love is a commitment to others. My students needed to know that my promise to them went beyond the limits of objective literary analysis and existed in my concern for their own tales, how their stories tangled with words chosen by dead authors. As a result, I began to hear a soft whisper from a voice drowned by years, by experience, by necessity, a voice that I had not really heard since early November of my senior year of high school. I had not considered her role in my life until my career once again took me down a new path to a public high school in the suburbs of Georgia. It was at this time that I was introduced to the Georgia Laws of Life essay contest, which required that students write about a pivotal moment in their lives and connect it to some maxim. Initially, I was not clear as to the assignment's power until I saw the truths that it yielded about my students' lives. Each paper communicated a piece of their covert identities, black and white illustrations of their heartbreaking and joyful and beautiful stories. How could I not fall in love? During the 3rd year of its offering, something extraordinary happened. A student asked me what I would write about. What was my life-changing experience? Almost instinctively, my mind jumped to the moment I met my husband, and then leaped to the births of my 2 children. Good answers, correct answers, but not what I was searching for. Then she yelled from the recesses of my memory, climbing to the front of my cortex. Tell them about me. Tell them how I changed you. By that point, I'd been teaching for 13 years, but I never once consciously considered that she had shaped my teaching journey. As I began to recount the story of her life and death to my 9th grade honors lit students, my eyes were opened. Every time I stayed after school to listen to a girl tell me of her loneliness, I was trying to save my friend. Every time I comforted a boy who was battling depression, I was by her desperate side. Every time I used a book or a story or poem to begin examining a pressing issue, I was retrieving a lost conversation with her. I was always seeking to fix things because she felt so alone, and I never wanted anyone ever to feel that sort of isolation. I could be there for them. I would always be there for them. With my stories, my journals, I steadily begged them to feel loved. The Laws of Life essay contest has enabled me to comprehend the simultaneously obvious and yet sometimes subtle connection that exists between my past and my present, between the students who sit before me and those who live in my memories. This link not only allows for an increased sense of empathy, but it has helped me to better appreciate the courage which students demonstrate by writing their tales, by allowing me and all the teachers who assigned this essay the privilege of peering into their worlds, even if only for a moment. They offer us that unique opportunity to stand by their sides. Such an honor is one that I will always cherish.
Thank you so much, Antonia, for that beautiful explanation of what the contest means to you. And please let me add my appreciation to Amelia and Praydun for demonstrating the real-life impact of the Laws of Life essay contest on students and teachers. I would like to speak briefly about the impact and importance of the Laws of Life essay contest on Rotarians and announce some updates to the statewide awards. This year's Rotary International presidential theme is Imagine Rotary. So it's quite fitting that we're considering the ways that student education and imagination fit together with Rotary's core ideals. You might ask, what does imagination have to do with a personal essay? Aren't those supposed to be based on facts? But the true genius of the Laws of Life concept, as developed by Sir John Templeton, lies in student reflection on the large and small events of their lives and imagining how those events fit into a theme, an ideal, or a principle. The best of the essays, as we've heard today, also imagine how the lessons learned in the reflection will impact their authors' future lives. What we don't need to imagine are the many ways in which Rotary clubs across Georgia are active participants in the Laws of Life contest. Rotary clubs serve as key financial sponsors for the contest. Some clubs are longtime contest sponsors, while others have just recently become involved in contest sponsorship, and we are excited to have new clubs each year consider this a worthy investment of their giving funds. Club members at sponsoring clubs are invited to act as essay judges. This is how I first became involved with the Laws of Life. A fellow Rotarian asked at a regular meeting for volunteers to read essays, and I put my hand up. I'm the 2022-2023 Board of Directors Chair, so do be careful because it's a slippery slope. Clubs do host recognition events for their local student essayists, both grade and school winners, regardless of whether they are state finalists. I feel this is a key way to be involved with the contest and with your local schools, because the work these students put into their essays and the impact that a recognition event can have on both the club and the students is huge. So the Character in Action Award, which carries a $1,000 prize, is presented annually by the Dunwoody Rotary Club in honor of club member George Stewart for his dedication to character education and the Georgia Rotary Club Laws of Life essay contest. It is awarded to a student essayist who demonstrates good character through words or deeds. We're happy to say that George is present with us today virtually.
Wave, George.
Wave for us, please, George, so we can say thank you. New for this year is the Founders Award, which also carries a $1,000 prize, and it will be presented annually by the Buckhead Rotary Club in honor of Rotarian Susan Mason for her commitment as the founding executive director of Georgia Rotary District's Character Education Program. It is awarded to a student essayist whose writing shows the power of the written word to illuminate a core character value. We're happy that we believe Susan is also with us present today virtually, and if we can find her, we will also give her a clap and a wave. Thank you so much, Susan.
Well, thank you to the Buckhead Club and to all of you. This is such an honor, and I can't wait to see who the essay will be this year.
So I hope that everyone attending this luncheon in person and virtually, and everyone participating in the contest this year in any capacity, is just as excited about these contest enhancements as the board of directors. We look forward to an exceptional year of writing, reading, and judging essays, and we know you will join us in making this year in Laws of Life very special. So thank you.
This is an overview of the prize structure, and we have school winners and grade winners at schools that meet minimum participation levels, and then there is also an outline of our state level prizes. We also award teachers of the top state winners $100 of the state winner and the Character in Action and the Founders Award. And then a $100 honorarium also goes to teachers whose school meets the 25% participation level. Here's a look at our timeline. Some of those dates have already passed, but we will have submittable training in November, December. And then the essays this year are due on Monday, February 13th, the second Monday in February. We will also, you can begin submitting and uploading essays to submittable as early as December. I know we had at least one school last year who had her essays all submitted before the holiday break, which was impressive. So I'm sending out a challenge. The Laws of Life essay can take shape differently for each teacher. That's one of the beauties of this contest, is that there is definitely some teacher flexibility. But there are some key elements. Some teachers begin with pondering laws or quotes and related character values. Others start with self-reflection and writing the personal narrative, and then after the narrative is written, students will search for a quote or some saying or be inspired by a saying that sums up the lesson they learned from that life experience. After the reflection, the law selection, and writing the essay, small groups of students share their essays for further discussion and reflection on the character values, and they can help students fine-tune their papers. This really gives students the opportunity to realize that a life lesson can be very different for each individual student. That's a great empathy building exercise. Essays must be 500 to 700 words. They should be based on students' personal experience. And the most impactful essays have the law of life integrated into the essay. We have had some teachers mention that some students find it difficult to stay under 700 words. To compare, the essay a student writes for the College Admission Common App is up to 650 words. So this is kind of a handy practice to work on that college admission essay for students who are applying to colleges. New this year, we are asking students to include their word count on their student entry form and on their essay. The online judging process makes it a little trickier to gauge the word count when you're not handling pieces of paper, so it's really helpful to the judges to put the word count on the essay itself. We introduced the Google student entry form a couple years ago. Some schools still use the paper forms, but we're encouraging everyone to try and work towards the Google form. We're working towards perhaps using that to further integrate with the admission process and really simplify the entry process. We also have a Google folder, an online folder, and this link was sent out with your welcome email. But this also has the resources in a folder. So when I sent the email to teachers, the contest manual is attached, but we have it in this Google folder, so you don't have to print out the whole manual. You can print out sections or pages if you don't want to share the whole thing. There's also some student videos and some teacher videos and the various lesson plans. So each year when the contest is complete, we ask for feedback from our participating teachers. We work hard to make the process more responsive to the needs of teachers and their students. This year, The completed Google student forms will go directly to the school contest chair rather than to multiple English language arts teachers. So that is one way we've simplified that part of the process. Our goal is to create a Georgia Laws of Life website that includes all resources for teachers in multiple formats, with tutorials and sections of the lesson plans, that sort of thing. So next, we will have André Marria as our keynote speaker. André is a Christian, a wife, a therapist, a mother, poet, and a woman for all seasons, who also just happens to be our Rotary District 6900 governor-elect. She is a licensed professional counselor and past president of the Licensed Professional Counselor Association of Georgia. André consults for the Morehouse School of Medicine Health Promotion Unit as a developer of a program promising practices parent curriculum called Youth Empowering Parents, Mental Stretching Through the Arts. The program helps parents and teens develop strategies and practices to improve communication on HIV, STDs, and healthy choices. André is an authorized EAP counseling referral source for businesses in her hometown of Thomasville, Georgia. This year, André published a new book of life revealing personal stories entitled The Songs I Could Not Sing. A professionally trained singer, André shares her short stories in poetic style. She shares significant, insightful episodes in her life that have created the verses of the inspiring songs she sings today.
Good afternoon. I do not know why I took the time to write this. I have been so moved by our speakers this morning that I'm afraid to even attempt to speak to you. But the power of words are so important in the lives in which we live. And we take those things for granted, words. We use them so carelessly in our daily communications, not realizing that we can paralyze individuals by the things that we say. And not only by the things that we say, but how we behave, how we carry ourselves. I've always taught our children to meet the essence of a person and not rather the presence of a person. Because the presence of a person may be someone you really don't know, and you may miss that person. So when I think about the power of words, I think about the two who spoke to us this morning. Amelia, thank you. Praydun, thank you. Antonia, thank you for sharing pieces of you with us. The Laws of Life contest is so important to me, but I need to put a plug in for the Rotarians to also look at Toastmasters internationally, because it helps us to learn how to communicate with others. And I want to put that in as well. Now, for me, I was going to read and talk to you about this little piece of paper here, but you've moved me so much, Antonio, and I think that I need to do a shout out to teachers as well. Okay? When I was in about the 8th grade, there was a poem that was given to me by one of our teachers, and I resented having to learn poems. I don't know about you guys in school, because that means that you had to focus and remember. But this one stuck with me. It says, "A candle divine are you and I, that God has set below. Like earthly stars, noble to light, the trail that all must go. So candle divine, lift high your flame, and let others share your spark. Lest you and I behold too late the trail before us dark." A candle divine. So this morning I want to share a spark from my candle. You know, words make stories, and stories changes lives. And words like these that I'm going to speak to you, they've changed my life, from a dreamer to a believer, a poet, and an author. I would not be here had it not been for educators. It was an educator who taught me how to communicate. The first one was my mother. She taught me how to speak. Even though some of the words I spoke got me in plenty of trouble, she taught me how to speak. She taught me to be a believer in myself and what it was that I wanted to be in life. Now, get this, I didn't appreciate her. It was in the essence of losing her that I realized how much she meant to me. So, as an educator, I'd like to thank you educators for the work that you've done. It was an educator, an English teacher, Mrs. Newton, and I will speak her name, who taught me the flair, working on articulation, being in the presence, and using the power of words. It was an educator, a librarian by the name of Betty Price, and I will speak her name, who taught me how to travel through life and the world through books because I was too poor to travel. It was that same librarian who took me to my first trip to Atlanta, Georgia, to participate in contest. It was an educator who also taught me, and her name is Dr. Palms, Constant Naomi Palms, my major professor in college, who taught me to be able to appreciate the man in the mirror and to be true to who she is. These were all individuals who made a difference in my life. And I want to take this time to thank educators, or I would not have been here. Working in mental health has also taught me the power of words. We'll get to the book later. When I worked as the assistant director for mental health for Georgia, in Southwest Georgia, I worked with clients who had lost their voice. They were mentally ill, as the story would go. It was my responsibility to start a consumer network wherein these individuals who were broken were to go into mental health centers and to evaluate the quality of service. And the professionals that we are at that time did not have an appreciation for the broken, you see. They're broken. How would they know how to evaluate what we're doing for them? But they were able to tell us through their words that were broken that we were not sensitive enough to listen to their pain and help them to eradicate that. And one of the patients, clients, consumers walked up to us one day and said, "From silence to a whisper and now a voice, we're being heard, that we are important and that we have something to offer the world." I believe that youth are the same. We miss so many of the young people today because we make assumptions about their stories. The stories are there if we search for them. The laws of life give us that opportunity to search for them. But what about the child that is not seen? The child that is in the corner, who may not be the best student when it comes to academics, but he too has a story to be told. He too has a song to be sung. He too has a verse of life to give forth. The laws of life are there for them. Praydun, Amelia, tell your story. Find that kid that is missing, not in the top percentage of the class, but the one that's in the hall, that may not look so well, but has a story that you can share yours with, because we've all lost. We've all been broken. My mother, Praydun, lived with cancer. I had to take care of her at 14 years of age. You touched my heart this moment. Tell your story about how you began to appreciate that which your mother had given to you and you had an opportunity to give back. There are kids in the world today that are still hurting and that are still needing your story. The laws of life is a way in which you can help them find that. It is so important that we reach out and touch those lives. Now, getting along with my story, the songs I could not sing, it started out as a story of resentment that moved me to a place of forgiveness, understanding the need to tell my story. My story began at 9 years of age as a kid. It started in a corner of a little room where I wanted to write things down because we, growing up in the 50s, were seen and not heard, Amelia. We had a voice, but it was not to be spoken at a table. So I learned to write my thoughts down in pieces of paper, on papers, anywhere I could find, to talk about, are these adults the real adults? Am I in the right room? Is this what life is really about? I don't want this in my life. And so I wrote my story. As I began to work in the field, that woman who taught me to look at the man in the mirror said, do not, I repeat, do not call yourself a therapist until you've done your work. Now, doing the work means you got to go back and deal with the brokenness and the pieces and the dreams that were deferred because of anger, resentment, and brokenness of people in your life. So I had to go home, even though I was licensed in 1987. Don't judge me. I did not start practicing my art until 1995. It took me that long to do my work. And I began to write and to share my stories with kids in the different programs that I was working with. I didn't tell them I was the person, I was that broke kid, that was that kid who was lost. But I began to see from their reactions to the stories in the workshops that we were holding that they too had those same kinds of challenges that I found myself living with as a kid. And I wrote them down and I took notes and I began to put all of my poems together in a book and I started using them in therapy. I started telling my story through my work and seeing how my work could help other people become whole again. It is so important that we realize there is power in words, and how words are so important. You know, in mental health, youth do not feel that they have a voice. They're broken. They don't feel that we listen. They feel rejected. They feel ashamed. They feel ashamed of sharing their feelings, their emotions, because they're not sure people want to hear their story. Thus, André started in 1995 a group called 3D Whole Brain Productions. Okay, I'm a singer. I think I can sing. And we started working with kids, calling it Mental Stretching Through the Arts, MITSTA. And what we started with that nonprofit organization was getting kids to tell their stories through music, drama, acting, photography, and they were responsible for putting on a program every year that they themselves had to orchestrate. But guess what? Remember, the story has drama, you have actors, you have plays, you have parts. Each one of those individual kids, they had to use their own talents to do that. They couldn't write about somebody else. They had to tell their story. They had to write their story. They had to sing their song. And so when the productions came together, it was all about them and what they've done. I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. So when Morehouse School of Medicine started an innovative academy recently, I was asked to come up with an innovation. And my innovation is called YAP, Youth Empowering Parents. Rather than parents empowering youth, let youth empower parents. Because what the kids are telling me is that parents don't listen. They don't feel comfortable talking about the things that they want to talk about. They're too busy telling them, go here, I don't come back another time. And you wonder why kids are so involved with media. Maybe it's because adults are not spending the quality of time they need to do with kids. So as a part of the production that these kids are working on now, they are now writing productions for me. They're a minute and a half. And they're teaching their parents what they have learned through HIV, AIDS, education, because we don't, as kids, we don't talk to our parents about sex. I mean, not really. And so I asked one of the kids, why not? Miss Marria, really? You think my mom really want to know what I'm doing? Yes, I think so. And so what we decided to do is to allow them to take one poem from mother to child. And this was about a kid who was born with HIV because of the blood transfusion from the mom that passed the disease. And when I saw that 1 minute and 5 second production that they put together in a poem, it moved me to believe that the power of words go far beyond what we think they do. Those kids had their parents frozen because they did not know, nor did they even care to understand earlier that this was an issue the kids really needed to talk to their parents about. And so now what we have in my program that we're working on and we're testing it out is parents being educated by their youth on things that they've never had a conversation talking about. So I asked 2 questions. What is it about you that you want your parents to know that they don't know? We're not stupid. We do know. We do have time that we need to ourselves, and we can make good decisions. Now that came through the power of words. They wrote those things down. Parents weren't even aware of some of the things that the kids were thinking, or not even aware of the fact that their kids felt that way. It's the power of words sometimes that makes all the difference in the word. Allow me to share with you something from my experience in working with mental health. Creative writing is one of the best ways in which our young people can tell their story. Allow them to write. Encourage them to write. Educators, don't give up. I did. I taught 2 years and I ran from the profession. Don't give up on kids. Help them find their balance. It helps them with depression. It helps them with anxiety. It allows them with themselves and who they are. They get an opportunity to express anger and resentment. I was with a client the other day and she said, I realized that I resent my mother. I picked up a poem in my book and I said, I resented my mom at one time. It's okay when people understand that it's a process that we all go through in life. I am who I am because of the total sum of who my parents were. Nothing short of it. Couldn't tell me that when I was your age, Amelia. I thought I knew it all. And I think that as we began to realize the importance of the power of words, we understand that we teach individuals how to release pent-up feelings and emotions. They can learn to escape, but at the same time return to themselves. They really realize that they're okay. You see, when the guy in mental health said to me, from silence to a whisper and now a voice, he had found for himself a sense of balance. Mental health is something, and mental well-being is so important in life today. But more than that, it's important that we reach out and touch the souls of individuals who are hurting. Amelia spoke to the pain of losing a loved one. From darkness to light sometimes. We have to go, we all have that appointment one day that we're not going to be here. How exciting it can be that we can find the time through written words, as Praydun has done, to talk about how much he loved his mom. That he was able to write it down and for her to be able to reach out and touch his soul. How important it is for teachers to be inspired by us to want to make a difference in the lives of our kids. An educator is the reason why I'm standing here today. You made a difference in a life. You're continuing to make a difference in a life, Antonia. Keep doing what you're doing. A candle divine are you and I that God has sent below. They are earthly stars nowhere to light, the trail that all must go. So, candle divine, live high your flame and let others share your spark. Least you and I behold too late. The trail before us is dark. Allow your spark to continue to shine. The laws of life is something that I believe in totally. And I think that as we continue our journey with the power of words, remember they can free us from resentment to wholeness. They were that for me on my journey. I was one who felt that she was lost and disconnected. But I realized that my why in the world today is to help structure and to restore life's most precious design, and that to me is a child. And I'm going to close with just one verse of a song that I think is so powerful, and it goes like this. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and help them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Share your spark.
I remember the first time that I spoke to you, André, about serving on the Laws of Life board. I thought to myself, man, we have hit the jackpot. and we really, really did today. Thank you for your inspirational and powerful words. As it's been said many times today already, the Georgia Laws of Life Essay Contest was founded on the vision of building strong character, giving teens the opportunity to reflect upon and tell their stories, and providing a character education tool for teachers. We know that successful character growth takes time and community. Last November, at our first founder celebration, I shared that we could possibly surpass 750,000 essays having been written. We did it. The past 23 years, 497 students have written their Laws of Life essay. I believe everyone in this room, physically and dialing in remotely with us, have played a part in making that happen. That is power, that is community, and that is inspiration. I particularly want to take a minute to again thank our teachers who lead the contest at your schools. Thank you for your passion to make a difference. The volunteer essay judges, for your service and expertise in selecting the winners. And our Rotary Club corporate and foundation sponsors who were recognized in the slideshow earlier, and they are in the booklets on your tables. Thank you for your commitment to the next generation. This year, we launched a Champions of Character Giving Society to further recognize loyal individual donors for their continued giving. I believe this group of folks are also inspirational. There are details about the Giving Society and pledge cards on your tables. With a cost of less than $2 per essay, every donation helps, no matter the amount. In closing, I have a vision. I imagine that in the next 5 years, we can reach the 1 million essay mark. Working together to recruit new schools, to grow our donor base and sponsorship base, we can continue reaching for the vision to see the Laws of Life essay contest in every Georgia high school, providing opportunity for more students like Amelia and Praydun the opportunity to share their stories. So a final big thank you to both of you for sharing with us your powerful words. That's it. That's all I have. Have a great weekend and be safe on the way home.